Hi, I'm Greg Dekker, and I help individuals and companies around the country improve their performance. And today we're going to talk about buzz marketing. What is it, and how can you right now, while we're working together, create some ideas that will help you break through and be remembered with your customers? Well, here's why this is such an important topic. Okay, why do your customers buy from you now? All right, if you're thinking of a list in your mind, it probably has some things on it like this. Well, because of your products and maybe your service, right? Quality, the location of your business, where you work, and selection, prices, and maybe it's because of you, right? In fact, if I ask this question around the country, people will give me ideas a lot like this. Well, imagine this, bad news, okay? You just lost your job. Good news though, you just got hired by your competitor down the street. Does the competitor have customers? They do, right? And they still will when you get there too. But why do some people buy from them? Well, is it because perhaps they have products? Yeah, okay. Service? They do. They buy from them because of their quality, location. So, do they have selection? Okay, yep. Are their prices good enough? Some people obviously buy from them. Okay, and now you're going to be there. So here's the challenge. The same reasons that they buy from you are the same reasons that they're buying from your competitor. To a customer, it can be like a sea of sameness. Everyone looks an awful lot alike. So today we're going to talk about ideas for breaking through that and helping you be different and special in the minds of the people you're trying hardest to attract. We're going to do it by talking about buzz. And we're going to follow a worksheet here that is fill in the blank. We'll talk about 9 different areas, and we'll discuss each of these, have some ideas, and at the end, what I invite you to do is do some idea searching of your own, some brainstorming on these categories to come up with ideas to break through right now. If you'd like a copy of this sheet, if you're not here, if you're out away, email me at itcanbetoday@gmail.com. I'd be happy to send you one. So hey, let's talk about buzz. The first category is, number 1, do it in public. My favorite example of this is probably when the Mini Cooper, that little car, came out a few years ago. And rather than do just a conventional advertising campaign, what Mini Cooper decided to do was break through. They attached this little car to the roof of those big suburban SUVs. And they drove them around New York and LA and Dallas and Atlanta. And it was a huge hit. I mean, people were going to the windows and they were saying, what is it? Right? They were like Mini Cooper sightings. And that is the key to buzz marketing. Buzz marketing is the idea of getting people to remember you, to talk about you, to say what is it. I mean, if they say what is it, that's cha-ching. It's like money in the bank. And that's the key to this. It really is. So there's our first example, doing it in public. So what could you do with your product? If you sold pencils, could you attach them to the outside of a car? Could you do a huge pencil display up in the lobby where nobody would expect it? If you were a church, what could you do to get you out in the public that would have people looking, being surprised, creating a memory, and saying, what is it? Cha-ching, right? Because that's exactly that moment. Let's move on to the rest of the 9 categories. Number 2, do it on the table. A typical presentation, sales presentation of any kind, presentation to new members for something, often is done on a flat surface, whether it's a restaurant, a bar, their office, your office. And as different presenters come through, it often looks all the same. There's a PowerPoint, there's a stack of spreadsheets or brochures or whatever else it is. How do you break through that? Well, look carefully at that space. What could you do with, for example, the containers that things are being held in? People like containers. Could you make a container out of your product? Or could it be something exciting, colorful that people will remember? People might look at it and say, whoa, what is it? Cha-ching. See, that's that idea of buzz marketing, getting people to talk and think about you a little bit differently. Came up with an idea some years back that really helped. I was thinking in a sales presentation, everybody had brochures, they all had spreadsheets. We came up with these placemats, and just like you get at a restaurant almost, but we took the essential parts of our presentation and put them into a placemat design, printed them out, and everybody who was visiting us had a copy right in front of them. So the essential photographs, a few pieces of math and marketing, and then some room for them to place their own notes. Placemats were key, and we used them in small sales, we used them in huge sales, but they really broke through and got people to say, what is it? What can you do in your organization that would take advantage of that table where you're often presenting and getting people to look at the space in new ways that might be remembered. Number 3, size matters. A few years back, I was doing a presentation with about 2,000 people in the audience. I was asked to talk about how to use the telephone. And I did. I think the presentation really went pretty well. But what I brought along were huge 3 or 4 foot tall inflatable phones that we used on stage with it. And we had some that pass out in the audience. And throughout that 3-day conference, people were walking down the hallway, stopping us, saying, "Where'd you get that phone? Neat presentation, but I really remember that big inflatable you had." Size matters in this way. People notice exaggeration. If you blow something up, for example, if you take your product and make it printed huge up on the wall, folks will notice. Or if you make things tiny. Is there something involved with what you do that you could make so small it would fit on a keychain? People will stop and notice. They will absolutely say, "What is it?" So what can you do to exaggerate the size of something that you're doing? Number 4, I call this category hardware sales. Because last year in this country, about 7 million people bought an electric drill bit. That's a lot of drill bits, and that's a lot of people. Especially when you consider that nobody really wants to own drill bits, do they? What people want is a hole. What they want is the result. So that drill bit story takes an object that has nothing to do with, say, furniture, but gets people to think instead about the result that they want. So how might you use a drill bit to talk about results in what you do in your business and in your work? Or what could you do with any sort of object? What could you do with a mouse, with a stack of balloons? An object that helps you tell a story about what you do without using your object that you sell exactly. Number 5, you've got mail. Well, you're already sending out emails and other forms of mail to audiences. What can you do to attach a message about your company into that piece of communication that's going out? Number 6 is, I call it heart on your sleeve. There's lots of different kinds of promotional items. It could be a golf shirt, right, with your company name on it. But that kind of blurs into the background, doesn't really break through. So what could you do? I knew a guy that recruited for a company, and he would go to these like job recruitment sorts of fairs, and rather than get a typical table and just sit there wait to talk to people, he had a shirt that said, "I'm looking for 3 good people." Throughout the day I heard people stopped him again and says, "What is it on your shirt?" So if you want to break through in this category of heart on your sleeve, do things that are either special and better than what people are expecting, or do something that's kind of funky and different that they'll notice. I'm sure you can brainstorm great ideas in this category. The next one up is number 7, get ink. Take advantage of publicity. Get your story into the newspapers and so on. In fact, those writers are so interested and so strung out on work that if you just get them a good story, well organized, they'll often run it word for word, but don't stop there. Take advantage of that story and replay it for many, many more audiences. I'll give you an example. One of the pieces of furniture that I sold was used on the American Idol set. Well, that was kind of cool. But what we did with it was created a game and sent out an email to thousands of people saying, "Can you tell me what piece of furniture was on American Idol last night?" We had hundreds of responses from people looking up the kind of positive ink that we were getting. Which kind of reminds me of the next category, number 8. You should be in pictures. When you get a photograph with a group in it, who do you look for first? Yourself, right? People love seeing themselves in a picture. So if you're doing something with customers, locally, traveling or anything, take pictures of it, make photo albums, put it in a frame, get people to sign it, and give it to them. I've had customers with pictures from a product tour from years before that they were out still keeping on their desk. And number 9, do it now. Never forget the value of a minute. People love speed. So if you do it right, and you do it right now, you can break through and be remembered. Well, there's the 9 categories. Get out there, take advantage of this information, and you can break through and be remembered too. Thanks for joining us.